Hello, I'm Steve. A little about myself. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 20 years of service. I began my career in the jail, worked the road, and became an investigator. During my career, my training consisted of everything from SWAT to becoming a state certified crime scene technician. I've investigated crimes from thefts to homicides. After retiring and becoming aware of true crime and web sleuths, I started my channel for web sleuths to better understand the perspectives of law enforcement. Not only do we cover true crime, I go out into the field and assist families who have lost loved ones to homicide and their cases are considered cold. Join me as we look and bring attention to these critical cases.
Hello, everyone. Glad you're here with us tonight. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for being here. And what will happen is we'll have a presentation tonight talking about Scott Peterson and the Innocence Project that has taken up his case. And while you're in chat, be respectful of mods, the families, and each other. And if you have questions, just throw them in there. I'm by myself up here, but Mrs. Steve is out there in the great web in Florida, and she'll be in the background. But I want to thank everybody for being here. Normally, Mrs. Steve sits here beside me. But anyway, as we get into this case, I'm going to give a shout out to J is for Justice. I've been watching her last couple of days. I've been a sub of hers for quite a while. But the last couple of days, she's been focusing on the Scott Peterson case and the Innocence Project. And I've been in her chat, and really great questions and a great community. But and so it sparked my interest because while I have, this case was studied and was part of my law enforcement career as far as when it came to be known. It was during the later part of my career, and when we went into training and went and studied cases and things, it was brought up. So, like I said, it was towards the latter part of my career, but it had an impact, and has been studied and, been debated. And there's always been a certain part of the story that has never set well. And that was this part of the story about the burglary. And that's always been a question of mine. But we're going to go through the presentation and the information and give you my 2 cents on it and what I think will, as we see what is happening with the Innocence Project. Am I dead set against it being brought up? No. I think anyone and everyone, because we know that there is times that by them looking into this, one of two things are going to happen. Either they're just going to cement the findings, and that he is absolutely the individual responsible, which I believe so. But I have that, that that little bit of hesitancy about that. I'm 100% for the fact about those burglars and the dog being loose. But that'd be part of the presentation as we go through that. And like I said, I want to thank everybody for being here. So with that being said, let's go into chat before I get started here, guys, and try to stay caught up a little bit better than I normally do. Hello, Di, good to see you. Gail. And let's see here. Let me see if I can get this scrolling to start here. There we go. Sandy says is in the house. Demead, Olivia too. Good to see you. And let's see who else is here. Madison Stevens, I'm glad to see you. Copper Horse, good to see you. Glad you're here tonight, helping out. And let's see here. All right. Demead says it's freezing. There's 5 degrees where that. I think we're only like 20 right now, and I think it's supposed to be rising from here on out. It's 9 in Wisconsin. Goodness gracious. 50 degrees. Oh, me. Hello, Jill. Good to see you. And Nanar, Cunningham, Melissa. Good to see y'all. Peyton, Sensei. Hello. Grace, good to see you. Joanne Jackson. Got a lot of good people in here. We got Nana 72, and we got Nan R. Try to keep y'all separated there. Yes, Debbie. Wish everyone have a great weekend and warm up. And let's see. All right. All right. Okay. So let's get into the presentation here. And I'm absolutely sure that everyone's aware of the turn of events that's came to the forefront in the last few days. That this month, the Los Angeles Innocence Project says it's begun representing Peterson. The nonprofit says it is investigating his claims of actual innocence. And of course, he's been through the appeal process. He had his DP taken, which they overturned a lot of those DP sentences back when the governor did it for everybody. And now he's serving that. But, and then, of course, he's had the appeals process that has been turned down. And we have a timeline on all that information very shortly. And but it's been 21 years, and until I saw that number, I really hadn't even thought about it. That someone can serve that long of a time and still have a option. And I have to give a recognition to these foundations that go out there and work on these cases, regardless of what public opinion is. And if there is a question, and there, we should look at it. And for the fact, like I said, I've always been 95% absolutely. But my investigative mind is that when you have the possibility, because mistakes have been made and can be made. Now, I don't like Scott Peterson's appearance. I didn't like that he was unfaithful. I did not like the way that he was interviewed, that he conducted himself in interviews, and how he represented and made certain statements, not only to law enforcement, but to his girlfriend, who he went out and found at the time and took advantage of her, who was looking for a father figure for her child, and took advantage of her. This is an individual that his mindset is that he is narcissistic, and he fits the pot, that type of person that could be a psychopath, that the only thing that is important to him is himself. Whatever is self-serving and will get him from point A to point B, and him being primary interest. No one can step in front of these types of personalities. That if someone threatens their presence and their of where their standings in their family or in the eyes of certain individual or communities, that they don't want to lose that being number one. And is that something that he felt threatened by, that no longer, if this child, Connor, was born, that he would be primary? That is something that people have debated and questioned, and it is a possibility, because like I said, these people, they are narcissistic psychopaths. They will absolutely do anything and everything to be primary. But like I said, as I was watching Jayas for Justice and talking to her community, and they were having these discussions and bringing up certain points, and it's fascinating. And I played my role in it the best I could, trying to contribute when I was asked certain questions from about how law enforcement would look at certain statements that he made, because he made some strange statements during his interviews that was highlighted in today's show. And it was very disturbing, some of the statements he said about what he was doing. And but because human behavior, no one ever can say that everyone has to act a certain way when there's trauma or emotions or there's high tense situations. No one knows how each individual is going to react. And those reactions can change in one's lifetime. You may be calm at one moment, and then a similar situation pop up a year or two later, and you have a totally different demeanor. Things change in people's lives, but it's absolutely amazing, and it's something that we should consider. That no matter how much we look at how he conducts himself, um, there's a lot of people out there that have been convicted just under those mannerisms, and we have to be careful with those. And like I said, there's nothing about Scott Peterson I like, and 95% of anything, like I said, I'm on that part of it, but I do have questions, and I like to have those answers. And this Innocent Project, I think, will answer all the questions and either um, uh, reveal who is responsible, or it will confirm that the jury had it correct. All right, let's go down here over back in chat and see what's going on over here before I get too far behind. And see if you have any questions. Grace says, I miss Mrs. Steve. I do too. Man, we've been texting and calling each other every day, and I'm looking forward to getting back down there. I'm looking forward that as we finally find a piece of property and we can build another studio where we can get in there and work together again. And because she's down there taking care of the grandkids and also her parents. And so her plate is full. And I'm up here doing my work on the farm and taking care of everything up here. But I look forward to seeing her in the next day or two, just as soon as it warms up enough that nothing on the farm freezes up. All right. Lone Pony, good to see you. Sirius Black, good to see you. Thank you, Copper Horse. Copper Horse can do it. Shout out to Jay. That's correct. Thank you. Sandy was bickering. Melissa, good to see you. Tracy Turner, and Earth Secrets. Hello, good to see you. Had a great conversation with Carolyn the other day. We're talking about some of the things that will be coming for the channel, and as we progress and move forward with our co-case this year, acquiring equipment and things, looking forward to working with them and going out on some of these co-cases. Hello, Jill. Let's see here. Peggy. Hello, Tracy Turner. And Olivia too says, Peterson case trial was the first one I discussed on the net. I was obsessed with the case and justice for Lacey and Connor. Absolutely. And it is a terrible chain of events that occurred in her life. Now, what could be the motive? Did she find out about the affair that he was having? Is that what the final straw that broke the camel's back? Or was it just from his narcissistic, pathological, I'm having to be number one, and this is a something that I'm not prepared to do, because we see that we've seen it in other cases of where individuals will have a new love interest and they will absolutely destroy anything and everything that stands in the way, with destroying the lives of their children. And it's just horrible. And we had them with other cases across the country over the years. So it's just not a one and out thing. This is something that part of our society, and we see these things happen. Alan Hinkle, good to see you. Yes, this is one of the most disturbing parts, Debbie, when you said the part where he said it was his first Christmas without his wife while Lacey was still alive is a massive hurl. I don't know what I can get past. And just as I told earlier today on Jay's podcast, this was exactly the thing, is that without those statements, if he hadn't made statements such as this, that I absolutely would be 100% on board with the burglary suspects. But making statements like this, that his wife, that he is spending his first Christmas without, indicates to me that he was planning, doing something, and then where certain things occurred, such as cleaning, washing his clothes on Christmas Eve, going fishing, that absolutely is something I wouldn't do on Christmas Eve. Now I do wash my clothes and things, but there's certain holidays and certain times that I really just want to spend time with family. And I know constantly on the holidays, every moment of Mrs. Steve's presence of where she's at, what she's doing. We've always done this over the years, even when I was working and on the road, even during the holidays, we constantly were in contact with each other. And there was never a moment that we weren't a part of each other's lives. And and he had the technologies of being able to have contact with her constantly. Let's see here. Cook, I sent you some rambling, weird email last week. Oh, okay. No, I got that. I thought I have to check my email. I thought I had sent the reply back to that. I answer my emails, but sometimes for whatever reason I forget to hit send. And that's if you hadn't got that, that's probably what I have failed to hit send. So I'll go check that after the show. Thank you. Oh, me. These Google machines get me sometimes. All right. Let's see. A new one, S.A. Sassisi. It's 15 in West Virginia. There's Bridget. Good to see you. Let's see here. Yes. Also check out Unearthed Secrets. Absolutely great channel. Let's see here. Scott Peterson received the right sentence. Yes. Like I said, I have no problem with him serving the rest of his life. Like I said, I have questions, and I'm hoping that as this Innocent Project goes forward, we'll get some of that answered. But like I said, law enforcement seems to have identified a certain timeline, but there's things that brings that into question. And but that's all going to get brought to the forefront. Christina has been a member for 7 months. Here's to hoping for more great months. Share with you and the foundation, Mark. Thank you. Oh, me. I'm nerved tonight. Crazy. Oh, me. Susan Purdy, good to see you. Olivia, too. Stay warm. Thank you. Appreciate it. If I miss anyone, I apologize because, like I said, I'm by myself again tonight. Hello, SP74. Good to see you. Let's see. Let's see. Madison Stevens, Canadian, $10. You and Mrs. Steve are so amazing. Thank you for everything you do. I'm so proud to be a member here. We absolutely appreciate your support, and we'll be on the road, and we will use this. And thank you for your support. All right, let's get back into the presentation here. But of course, we have a lot of faces, and who can't remember that when law enforcement finally pulled him over, and he had changed his looks, had money, and had everything to jump the border if he needed to jump the border. And which, of course, he says he changed his appearance due to the pressures of the media. Well, media can serve a lot of purposes, and the media should serve the purpose that when you're looking for a loved one, use them. That's what they do now. That's what happens with social media. And now we're totally different now than we were 21 years ago as far as social media presence of missing persons and what you can do and understanding of that. But back in that day, he did some interviews, and he didn't like some of those interviews that went on, and that's some of those statements he made absolutely are critical, in my opinion, of his involvement with her being the victim of a homicide, her and Connor, and like I said, that's part of my basis for the feeling that yes, they got the right guy. But like I said, there's always, I've got those little shadows of doubt that I want answered, and we will get those, absolutely. Cecil Hotel, good to see you. Hadn't seen you. And there's no doubt about this, that he was an accomplished liar and cheater. And Amber, during that time period, what would her fate have been if he realized what she was doing? But it is, she would, can you imagine waking up and realizing that you are the key to understanding what happened to Lacey, and the responsibility and the having the fortitude that, of having to work with law enforcement and being part of this case and doing what she thought was right. Now, there's a lot of people that have issues with her and her, but without her, we wouldn't have found out, would we have ever got to the point that we got with this case without her? And I don't think so. Hello, Mama. Good to see you. Fran? Good to see you. And SB 74. In this case, to me, the giant elephant in the room is the coincidence of finding Lacey and Connor in the bay where Scott went fishing. That's a long drive from Stockton to the San Francisco Bay. And it is a good point. But as the defense came up with their burglar theory, that she could have been placed anytime through a certain time window of knowing that it was made public of where his alibi was supposed to be. And I can see that standpoint from that. I mean, we discussed it in great depth back in the day. There was arguments in the law enforcement circles and attorneys, and because it was, like I said, it had everyone's attention that was totally focused on it. And there were some great debates, and how would we handle such a case if it occurs to us? And that's the thing that we do is that while these other jurisdictions have to handle these cases, we, there's nothing wrong with us already prepping and role playing and saying, well, how would we attack this? How would we conduct the interview or investigation? What would we change about it? And it's to make law enforcement better prepared, that if we ever do have a case, that we have a little bit better understanding of what steps we might need to take, because we see it time and time again how these offenders operate and how these psychopaths, and that's one word that I will always use for the fact that regardless of who the offender is that went out there and committed a homicide involving an 8.5-month pregnant woman and a child, knowing, I mean, there's no hiding that she's pregnant, regardless of who the offender. It wouldn't matter if it was someone just off the street, that there's something mentally unstable about that person. Doesn't matter who it is, but especially such if it's your wife who at some point you married him. Now, if he's a true psychopath and narcissistic from the get-go, did his love for her ever was ever greater than his love for himself? No. He never loved her more than he loved himself. Absolutely not. And that's the thing that these people do, but they'll use these relationships to cover as a cover story for whatever else they want to do in life, and how it may promote them and make them seem more important and otherwise. That certain types of individuals, and if he is that type of individual, he never loved her more than he loved himself. And that's just my 2 cents on it. But because I've dealt with these people before, and it's absolutely crazy how they look at themselves. Pony. He was pretty much a sleazy snake all the way around. That's my unbiased opinion. Well put. And before we get to this, tell Mrs. Steve hi first. Yes, I had a discussion with Mrs. Steve today. I said, now you know that we can go out and there's some CSI stuff and some control tests that we could do. And I said, would you have any problem with me throwing you out of a boat? Because that was part of the things that they tried to do with the defense and the of trying to show that it was impossible as far as being able to dump a body from that size boat. And so I talked to Mrs. Steve about it, and I said, we need to do it in December. And she says, August. But so it's not totally off the table, guys. She said that I could probably do it in August, but she wasn't going to do it in December. So we may have that in our future. Mrs. Steve is absolutely a trooper. Hey, friend, good to see you. Susan Purdy says, I'm with you, Mr. Steve. His actions were very suspect, but I still have questions about the lack of evidence. And that is concerning. And we'll get into some of those very shortly here. Just trying to stay somewhere caught up. Cecil Hotel. He is probably guilty, but there was monkey business amongst the jury. Yes, there was some, wasn't there a juror or two that went on there with a purpose? And this is absolutely, and that's one of the things that when you watch his interviews, that he never tells, when he's there with, within 24 hours of her missing, that law enforcement's questioning, and he never brings to the point that, hey guys, can't we do this on the road while we're searching for her? And if not, I've got things to do. I've got people to contact. I've got to go out there and organize. I got to be a part of this. I don't have time for this. Y'all do what you got to do. Either work with me and do it on my schedule or do something. And, but that's just of how I would have handled it. Everybody handles things different. Alan, good to see you. All right. Texas Ranger. I'd go deer hunting, but not fishing. Been there. I've done both. All right. So now let's get into, but she was a victim of a homicide while she was 8.5 months pregnant. So she absolutely, and that brought up at 8.5 months that she could have had the child at any moment. I mean, the child, for all consideration, I think even the day before had been to the doctors, listened to the heartbeat, everything was going great. And, but she disappeared on December 24th, 2002 from their home. And later, Scott, of course, was charged and found guilty of her and Connor's homicides. And we have a little bit of a timeline. On December 24th, that's where she was reported missing. And January 24, that's when, of 2003, is where the girlfriend, Amber Fry, came forth and says that she was having an affair which absolutely turned the case on its head. Now, law enforcement would have had this information sooner, and they would have, and as we've seen, they went through their process of using that knowledge and having that contact to gather those nails to put in his coffin and for his trial, and which absolutely tells a story in and of itself. Some of the statements that he made and saying that he was in certain parts of the world when he wasn't. I mean, he's just a liar, and that's not something that you have done. Absolutely not. Let's see here. Someone else that's has suffered at my expense of not hitting send, and to reply to all. Oh man. Um, and this is, like I said, this is another good point that I don't believe Lacey knew about the affair either, because she had not discussed it with anyone. Now, everyone does, but I would say the majority does. And that may be something that came to light. I mean, we're talking about holidays. Did the phone ring, or was there some contact? Is there another phone? We know we have certain phones, and I'm sure law enforcement will search and try to find and identify every phone that they could. And but just checking, Mrs. Steve sending me some messaging. But that could have been part of that could have been the one straw that finally ignited and started this argument, and or not. I mean, we just don't know yet. And but there was something that triggered him within those hours, that if he is the one that's responsible for this, and a jury says he is, he's been convicted of it, he's serving time for it, and he will serve time until forever, I would expect, but you never know. Yes, this is a good question. I'm just trying to know what Innocent Project is basing this decision on. And I think it will have a large part to do with this burglary theory. I mean, there's no other reason. You have to have a alternative, alternate suspect that you have some belief in. And some of the news crews, they're saying that no, that house, law enforcement saying it was burglarized 2 days later, versus when the neighbor says certain information, and when the dog was found wandering around on its leash, which is one of our slides that we're going to be discussing here shortly. But anyway, this is the timeline of when Governor Newsom signs an executive order issuing a moratorium on executions of death row inmates in California prisons, including Peterson's. And so in August of 2020, they overturned his sentence. And then it was in October of 2020, the California Supreme Court orders the San Mateo County Superior Court to re-examine Peterson's murder convictions because a jury did not disclose involvement in other legal proceedings, including but not limited to the victim of the crime. The latest ruling is part of the ongoing appeals process. And this is where we get to the neighbor. And this is something that is the key part that has always put that shadow of doubt in my mind of how did this occur and why would it occur, and what would have allowed this witness to be able to state this. But a neighbor who put the time at 10:18 said that Lacey's car was parked in the driveway, but the gate was locked. So she went to another gate at the side of the house and locked the dog in the yard. She had found the dog wandering, and she called her at 9:30 when Scott talked to her that night to tell her that Lacey was missing. And when she told him she had found their dog wandering the neighborhood, Scott handed the phone to a detective. So she found the dog wandering on a leash um, within hours. And so we know the timeline is right um, for the fact that she immediately brought it to the attention of Scott just as soon as he contacted her, and uh, that she had found that dog out wandering. And would he have had the forethought to put a leash on a dog and release it? There could be explanations that um, certain things were occurring, and that possibly Lacey was going to leave and she's going to take the dog with her, and it got out of hand and the dog escaped. No one says that the dog has to be out released walking in that morning. It could have been out overnight when the crime could have occurred many hours earlier. We just don't know what that timeline is. Yeah, me and you suffer the same thing, and not sure. Well, mine is I'm getting older. Yes, and this is it. Yes, not just because they take it up, but and I'm glad they are taking it up because, like I said, I don't even like to have those small shadows of a doubt in my mind sitting back there, uh, and I don't want those answers um, for the fact that if these other individuals are responsible, then we need to know that because are there other victims, and we just don't know. Yes, I enjoy. Like I say, I go over and jump on her chat every now and then. Texas Ranger, y'all must be working together. Oh, let's see here. Um, Modesto PD is a solid agency. It's always been a rough town. Their detectives have been really good over the years. That's good information. I'm glad that you have confidence in them, and absolutely, there's a lot of great agencies out there, and um, the the defense theory, which defense, they're going to have those theories. They have to develop alternative suspect. They just can't say that our client is innocent without throwing something out there that's reasonably understandable that possibly could be someone that committed the crime. And uh, a burglary suspect across the residence, and it seemed to have some legs to it, and it seemed to run the course. And it's still even later. I think there was a jailhouse informant that stepped forward and said that one of them actually even confessed or something. I can't remember. I'll have to look all that up. But and that it gave it even more legs to run its course. But we'll see where this all goes, and that may be and probably is what the some of the Innocent Project is based on. Hello, Alley Cat. Well, that's what we're hoping to find out. What is going on? Absolutely. CDT. Um, he already knew he was tried and convicted by the public at that. Yes. And, of course, he brought out the theory or put out there that that's how come he changed his appearance. That from the pressure of the media. Yes, this is the LA Innocent Project. It's not the national. I didn't know that they had stepped up and said that they didn't want to be a part of that. Uh, that's interesting. Thank you. Yes, he had there was a lot of items from money and other things found in his car. I can't remember the full list of it. I will find that list and have it in the future. It's a great question, Nicole. If the project finds that Scott, and they're undertaking it with the assumption that he's innocent, regardless, they're going to approach it. Now, how far will they push it and how far will it go into the courts? Courts may not even open it up. This is just what the Innocent Project, they're going to have to come out with some type of substantial evidence. Because you're going to have the old jurors are going to step up and say, that's all been, no matter whatever's brought up, that, and there's certain information here we'll be looking at shortly, that some of the stuff didn't get brought up in trial. And of course, it was promised to be brought up, but it never made it. Opening statements or that. Attorneys say a lot of things that never come out into court. We see it time and time again. But regardless, like I said, there's no guarantee that this is going to be in the courts. But hopefully it brings a lot of, and it is already bringing a lot of eyes, social media on it. And we're a totally different world now than we were 21 years ago. And so people are going to look at this and with new eyes. There's generations of new people out there to look at this and understand it. And we're going to probably see a social media frenzy on this. And if we get all the information, if it gets into court, if it doesn't go to court, then it's not even an issue. I'll still always have that shadow of a doubt. But if it gets into court and it's accepted and the trials and they have new evidence and they're able to reopen everything, then answers will be, and we'll understand it more then. But hello, Lee and Susan. Trainer, good to see you. Mary Flynn. Yeah, that was pretending to be in Paris. Yes, that was one of the strange things. And like I said, liar, absolutely. There's nothing more says you're a liar than being caught on a recording by law enforcement of what is going on. Yeah, there's nothing that will break your ability to testify. Thank you, Copper Horse. And like I said, I've been part and I was watching her shows and absolutely give her a shout out. If you haven't watched her, absolutely jump over there. She's very entertaining and has a great community. Hello, Dandy. Good to see you. And Kelly yes, without Amber stepping forth, would law enforcement ever found her? Don't know. But her abilities to get some of those recordings, such as, hey, I'm in Paris, and would not have occurred without her. Hello, Fig. Hi, Steve. I know this case well. He seems guilty of sin to me. He does me also. I agree with you, Fig. He appears to be, but the burglaries have always bothered me. And for the fact that if law enforcement has that timeline off, then we have to look at that. And if we didn't have where the neighbor had found the dog, and this defense theory that after walking her dog on Christmas Eve, she confronted the burglars by threatening to call law enforcement. The petition reads, they then committed a homicide, and after learning about Scott and where he was the primary suspect and was been fishing in San Francisco Bay, that's where they took the body. All that's plausible, and it's possible. Don't have an issue with that. It's a great defensive move in theory, and you know burglary suspects have committed homicides. That's how come burglary carries such a severe penalty for a theft. Of all the thefts out there, burglary is a one. That's when you're going into the home of people and you're burglarizing it, and it has that possibility of escalating into these homicides. That's how come here in Georgia, you know, most thefts are just, can be a misdemeanor, but not when you go into a home. Then you're looking at felonies, and burglary carries a very severe penalty, and it should, for the fact that people, when you go into their homes, we don't appreciate that at all. Oh, Junior Johnson, good to see you. Does anyone think if Scott had not gone to trial, he and Amber would have been together? I don't. I, like I said, if he's the psychopath that he is, he would have used her up to whatever point and didn't need her again or more. And would she have faced something far more severe? Very possible. And this is one of the points that is that I've always had questions about. That there was mentioned that there was evidence and there was people to be talked to, and it didn't get brought up in court. And this happens, and this is the fault of the defense. It's no one else. If you promise something and you don't open, you open the door, but you don't bring anybody through that door, then how much evidence did you have? Now, was there certain hearings or certain, possibilities that, you just can't without having some type of proof? And I can't remember what all the hearings were of some of the that might have been brought up about this, but the jury never heard from. There was 12 people who reported to police that they saw Lacey walking her dog that morning, and after Scott left to go fishing, or evidence that she had witnessed the burglary. There's a documentary out there I watched that had some of these witnesses on it, and they seemed pretty positive that they had seen a pregnant woman walking in the park. I think one of them was even a nurse, and but in early of January of 2003, the Modesto police issued a press release saying they had arrested those burglars and for the resident across the street from the Peterson home, and that they timeline for them was that the burglary occurred 2 days after Lacey Peterson went missing, and they had no reason to believe the men were connected to her disappearance. And if that is the case, and they have it absolute that that's when it happened and occurred, but we have that 2 days after her appearance, we have all these news crews there, and which doesn't mean that a burglary still can't occur, but you would think there would be footage of that vehicle there. And I don't think there's ever been any footage of that vehicle being there, that somebody would have scanned it and seen it otherwise. Yes, I agree 100% with Fig on this, that he is a narcissistic creep. He lied to Amber. She did the right thing and helped get him caught. Absolutely. True crime. I'll go into the war in December, but Mrs. Steve is great, so I won't take this from her. Yeah, she drew the line at that. Yeah, when I told her, I said, "Well, we're going to make it as accurate as possible. It's in December." She said, "No." Oh man. Um, oh, that's a great checklist right here. Sensei, poor Mrs. Steve. She's a bloody good sport. Can you imagine Mr. and Mrs. Steve's memory book, Drag Through Woods check? thrown overboard check. Yes, there's a lot of checks um, of, of of all our control tests and things that she's been asked to do throughout our lives together. Absolutely memorable. Maybe she'll make a memoir of dealing with Mr. Steve. And this is something that not only did he take it out on Christmas Eve, but it would, I can see his point that now he says that when you go out into the ocean and you get salt water, you come home and you shower clean, you don't mop. And the mopping of the residents and cleaning up of the residents, I don't have a problem that if you've been out cold and fishing, coming in and taking a good shower. You can ask Mrs. Steve. I fish a lot, and and you come in, and I've been in the water. I know it's hard to believe, but there's times in my life when I've been fishing that I fall out of the boat, and it occurs. And I've been, I guess, in the water several times, and then you come home and you do take a shower. Uh, but but cleaning up the kitchen and mopping and doing that's something that there's a reason for that. What is that reason? Could it be from, they did GSR gunshot residue testing of his hands in the video you can watch. And um, was it due to possibly blood spatter? Possibly. Who knows? Could it have been to some type of other type of blood spatter from a physical altercation? Was it due to urination or due to water breakage during an assault? There's so many different things of why he may have had to clean up. We just don't know. And, but hopefully those will get answered. Good point. That's exactly what I was just speaking about, SP 74. Yes. Why would you just randomly do that? Mrs. Steve will tell you that I don't randomly. She randomly, Mrs. Steve randomly follows me around and cleans up and says, "What have you done now? You've hurt yourself and you're bleeding." Yeah, and this is the Cecil Hotel. This is exactly my issues. Is that dog with the leash on was found, um, and it was reported to law enforcement so close. And Gail, yes, good point. I mean, when you see him talking to the camera and relating the sequence of events, and absolutely, Mrs. Steve, I haven't asked Miss Steve what her opinion of his eyes are yet, but I need to. Oh man, I've never seen reply all, never, not once. No, I don't. If I'm gonna type out something, I'm gonna make it personal, just for you or whoever is the attention of my email. And you may be the attention of my email, and I have great intentions of sharing my information with you. That email, I just may not send it. Yes, I have a small boat, and I probably have a smaller boat than what he had, and I think it would be a great control. Yeah, that was a surprise, but like I said, um, who knows what the future holds. No, there's not that they've given him a new trial that I know of. All I know is that LA Innocent Project has taken up the cause. Are they doing it for publicity, or do they? I would hope that they wouldn't do that. I'm hoping that they have something that is guiding them, and if they have some key information that will open this case back up, and we'll know if the courts say yes, we need to look at this, then we know that they have something. But just now, just bringing out, as far as I know, that they're looking at it, and so we'll find out what's going on shortly. Yes, Lacey was absolutely a beautiful woman, Metal. Absolutely. Yes, I'm glad y'all bring that up. Yes, the LA Innocent Project is not affiliated with and I don't know if they're like franchises that everybody has them. I just don't know. I don't know if they're scattered around the country and what their relationships. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing 21 years of what cameras would have been and what law enforcement have utilized and went out and I believe they would have if the FBI gets involved. That's one of the first things that they do is that, you go to the stores, you go to the banks. Everyone back in those days that had cameras, you didn't have all the security cameras that you have now. And the organizations of what these cameras can do now. Cunningham, does anyone think he paid someone to unalive her and the child? No, I don't. I think that he's a responsible party. I agree with the jury that yes, I would have. Now, would I have gone it, uh, with the DP on it? I don't. I can't say. DP. I have to be 100%. And if I had a little bit better understanding of the burglaries, I will absolutely go 100, but I have to have that understanding. Mimi Cool Whips. Hi, Copper Horse. I've been sub for a while, so my first time in a long while. Videos weren't even popping up. Got the name of. Glad to see you back. Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Do you have a professional opinion? Yes, I agree that with what the jury had, they went the proper, um, uh, as far as saying he's guilty, he's responsible for. Um, but my only question would have always been that would I have recommended DP on him? Probably not. Um, that would have probably been with the alternate theory. Um, but who knows? I wasn't in the deliberations, didn't have all that firsthand information that they had. And, but um, setting from the outside, setting at 95% with a 5% possibility that there's these other alternate suspects out there. That's just my personal opinion. And y'all can hammer on me for that for whatever reason, but that's just my feelings currently. Yeah, Gail, I don't like him either. I have no use for the man. Yeah, I knew there was a cache. I forgot about his brother's ID. Yeah, and Shell, yes, he was. He That's what uh, I believe his intent was. Alan Hinkle says, "I'm back." Hopefully, I didn't knock you out for anything. Let's keep caught up here. Yeah, uh, Miracle or Mimi Cool Whips. This is his mugshot of his bad blonde hair dye job. Yes, uh, wouldn't even think it's the same individual, would you? Amazing. Yeah, let's see, try and get caught back up with chat. And like I said, guys, I appreciate everybody being here. Todd, if you do toss Mrs. Steve overboard, please make sure she is wearing a life jacket and Georgia Bulldog shirt. And don't forget to get the passwords to the Google. Oh, man, Todd. Oh, I'm on. Uh, you, Mrs. Steve will not let me forget this. Oh, that's unbelievable. Oh man. Yeah, trying to get caught up. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I believe they got the right party. I really do. But I've always had that shadow of a doubt. Yeah, but and I don't know if whatever information you have about it was being debunked. That why did they? I missed that part. And if you have a link to that, I absolutely would appreciate that, Harley Ryder. Um, uh, of why the neighbor who said that she found a dog on because Christmas Eve and telling law enforcement that quickly um, and having that is interesting. And but if it was debunked, absolutely see if you can get that information to me. Yeah, I agree with you, Cecil. Richard Allen, 99.9%, and this guy's 95. That's my numbers. That's my numbers. And here is J is for Justice podcast. Hey, Mr. Steve, here listening. And like I said, she last couple of days or last couple of shows I've been in her chat, just has a great community, well thought out presentation, has great comments when she's showing and doing her show. Absolutely brilliant. And if y'all get a chance, go over and watch her shows and sub to her and everything, support her. You will not be disappointed. Um, Carlene Burr, maybe I'm missing something, but that defense theory makes no sense. If it was a burglary, they're going to take a woman that heavily pregnant and drag her body with them to dispose of it later. That's something that you have some of these criminals that are repeat offenders that, and it, you know, you see it that regardless when they certain offenders will do anything in the world to ensure that they're not identified um, committing a crime. And I'm not saying that is the truth or not, but it is something that I believe should be answered, and we have a better understanding of it. Because, like, you know, it's criminals have done and committed homicides for, uh, you know, just for shoplifting because they do not want to go to jail, and it's also something that happens uh, for a lot of different crimes out there. And but yes, they certain criminals do not care anything other than themselves. If they fit that type of profile, they're going to do whatever it takes to ensure that it's not them that goes and suffers. That's just part of being evil. Texas Ranger, I bragged on you, Jaybird. Don't let me down. She won't let anybody down. No, I haven't seen the behaviors panel episode on this guy. They rip him new one. And like I said, I don't like anything about him. I don't like his presence, don't like his presentation, don't like his neuro linguistic eye patterns. I don't like anything about him. It says Lacey's family was surprised to hear he had a boat. Wonder if any of Scott's friends knew. I'm sure someone somewhere within that his circle of friends would have known. Olivia too, laughing at Mrs. Steve. Trying to get caught up here, guys. True crime. Did they ever check the boat for the evidence? Yes, I think they had some hair that they took from the boat, but that's the problem that when you live with someone and cross contamination can occur from clothing to had they ever been in the boat to simply throwing a jacket that you hug someone and then you take your jacket off, throw in the boat, and something gets transferred. So the of that now, if you had if there's a group of hair and that there's not just a single strand, but you may have whereas there's some type of injury of where there's multiple hairs all pulled or removed at the same time, and you have a certain type of or a plug of skin that comes off with it, then yes, we may have a different type. But just a few strands of hair don't mean a lot in the world of forensics. Joy Jones, Mrs. Steve is a trooper, absolutely. Yes, it is. It's going to make them upset, and that is that it absolutely opens up every wound that they thought was gone, and they will never recover. They lost so much. They lost their child. They lost a grandchild. They lost 21 years of their lives of and experiences and memories of what, and they only have those brief moments of happy days prior to her going missing. DNA found in a burnt van was not tested per Mark Garagos today. That'd be interesting. Yes, there's a reason bleaching the house. You know, you don't, you can ask Mrs. Steve. If Mrs. Steve ever saw me in the kitchen with bleach, she would be asking, what's my intentions? Eileen saying, can Innocent Project take this case look for amendment violation and not actual proof of innocence? I don't know what their mission statement for their nonprofit is. I have no idea. Fix says that they had some GPS data and proved that he was lying to law enforcement about his whereabouts. Then he changed his story, if I recall correctly. Very possible. I don't know. Was there burner phones back then? I don't know if they called them burner phones back then, but I think so, for the fact that in some of our drug units, that there was phones and people would buy, if I ain't mistaken, um, that there was ways of buying phones just with cash. Um, I don't know with the technologies back then how easily it would have been. Oh, the facetious. Scott couldn't have done it with him and Ted Parrish for the New Year's celebrations. Oh my goodness. And if there is DNA evidence pointing somewhere else, and such as if there is a burned out van, I don't know how DNA would survive that. But if there is such a thing, and it is and it does come back, that will open up a lot of things, a lot of explanations that need to be answered. I hope this doesn't permanently tarnish the real Innocent Project. I agree with you. I hope not. Teresa, Jay is for Justice sent me. I'm glad you're here. Um, yes, like I said, without my participation the last couple of days and watching her shows and her reigniting my interest in this case, um, um, it is something that I've always wanted to know about, that shadow about these burglary guys. And it was never fully answered. Even when I watched the documentary, it wasn't fully, I always wondered about it. CJK, good to see you. Personally, I'm shocked at this. I understand. Mrs. Steves and their true crime were priceless. This is Mrs. Steve on her computer down in Florida. Oh, man. Thank you that you just subscribed to Jay for Justice. Thank you. This one I can't get behind, and I understand that. Like I said, it's not that I'm 95% on board. Yeah, that he is. He's someone to be despised. He committed it, but like I say, I still have that. I want those answers. Will I ever get those answers? I don't know. Will I be happy that he's serving time? Yes, I'll I'll support the court system. The jurors had the information. They have far more information than I have, that any of us have, that unless you sit in that courtroom for every moment, every hour, every minute of all the testimony and seeing all the evidence, that I have to support that. But not having all the details leaves this little shadow. And while I support them 100%, of what the verdict is, yes, but I still have a little bit of a shadow of a doubt, and about those jury guys, and that's what I want to. If it can get into court, I'd like to have that clarified. And this case was huge in Northern California and the Bay Area. The witnesses who said they seen her walking the dog was in the press the very first day, and then that dog being recovered on a leash absolutely drives me crazy. And if he did this, and SP 74 is a great point. If he let the dog out with a leash to stage abduction, that is a brilliant move on his part. Would a criminal after that, could he do that? Absolutely. Or could the attack occurred when she was going to take the dog and leave? Possible. I mean, there's several ways that the dog could have got loose. I had a pager also. Oh my goodness, those were the days. And I agree. I think you could that they were out there. From I can't remember talking with the drug units what years that was, and I think it's even in the 90s um, that there were still a lot of phones out there you could get cheap. Cement dust in the boat. I'm a boat owner. Have I ever had concrete blocks in my boat? Yes. Um, have I ever poured concrete and made anchors? Yes. So not taking up for him, but I can understand it because that is something people do sometimes. Um, they had Motorola and Nokia phones in '02. There's your Nokia phone. That's probably from that time period. Um, and also the Sony Ericsson. Uh, um, I got two of those. I got two of the Sony Ericssons. And here's another old oldie, but good one, Nokia. It's not even a flip. I've got a lot of phones, guys. I keep modern technologies. Dreamscape, good to see you. My first iPhone was 2007. I couldn't remember that. Gary, just lurking tonight. Glad you're here. 2002, yeah, DNA was pretty well established. In the late 80s, early 90s was when the DNA was not at the level, anything like it was by the 2000. Yes, this is a different nonprofit Innocent Project. It's the LA Innocent Project. Um, well, I have a cellular device since 1993. I had Mrs. Steve. Uh, I had the bag phone, um, and I guess it was somewhere around then, or even prior. I can't remember when the first bag phone came out. Hey, Dwayne's Prospecting Adventures. Hello, everyone. I've been watching. I just now signed in the chat. Good to see you again, Dwayne. I accidentally blocked you one time. I apologize for that. Uh, but you get the gold star. Um, anyone that ever gets blocked by me, because I make mistakes, and if I don't, Mrs. Steve has probably fixed it now. She's given me a big old um, pointer, and I know where it's at now, so I know where to place it and not block people innocently. Good to see you. to try and get caught up. If I'm missing anything, I appreciate y'all overlooking that, because like I said, Mrs. Steve is not here with me tonight. Yes, good point. Talk about the unluckiest guy in the world. His wife's body shows up where you were fishing the day she went missing, and just because you told your mistress this is your first Christmas without her. Absolutely, I agree with that. It's a good point. Wayne's prospecting of interest. And yeah, absolutely. Dog running around, it bugs me. I absolutely. And I don't like his demeanor about anything that happened. That's very strange about the dog. Did it say that it would stay near? I don't know. Most dogs will. I mean, they have their territory. They're loyal. They're loyal to a home. That's where they eat. That's where they get their water. And Mrs. Steve, um, if she walks by your dog, that's the only time that a dog will forget all its loyalty. Mrs. Steve can steal anyone's dog. I've never seen anything like it. They just swarm to her. Um, and it's absolutely amazing. And probably for the fact that she wants them also. And so if you ever have a dog missing and Mrs. Steve's in the neighborhood, she is a suspect. And Tricia says that there was 5 of the anchors out of 6 were missing. Interesting. I can't remember that part of it. Barbara. Good to see you, Barbara. Glad you're here. If y'all don't know who Barbara is, she is the mother of Timothy Dees or Timmy Dees. And if y'all would spread the information about him, we would all appreciate that. Unearthed secrets. And he mentions also that he was doing work around the house with the concrete. Who knows? Um, Scott should be in his 50s by now. I think he was in his late 20s back then, but I think he should be in his 50s by now. Oh, I'm getting caught up, guys. Um, Maria Torres says, just got on. I lived the next town over in California when this happened. I bet that there was everyone talking about it. I mean, when a 8.5 month pregnant woman goes missing during Christmas, they're going to pay attention to that. They're going to, everybody's going to respond and do what is necessary. Um, Go online, look up Timmy D's, and uh, absolutely share that. Is a missing person. Barbara reached out to me. We've discussed it, and I've got to get back with her. And absolutely appreciate. And she's looking for answer. Her son was found um, deceased after a long, extended period of being reported missing, and they still looking for answers of why, how, um, and what occurred uh, to him. And there's a lot of suspicious activities dealing with his case. It's a fascinating case, and Barbara has fought um, for answers for many years, and I have utmost respect for her. All righty, guys. Out to the end of it. Yes, good point, Gail. The dog may have been trying to protect. All right. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate y'all being here tonight. And if y'all would, if you like the video and share it, give it a thumbs up. And if you, and I appreciate everybody going over there for JS for Justice and supporting her also. There's a lot of great channels out here on their secrets, and absolutely share their information, make their channels grow. Because the larger each of these channels grow to, the bigger impact we can have working together, and we absolutely appreciate. And I enjoy working with these people as much as possible. But y'all stay safe out there. I look forward to seeing y'all soon. And I'm going to be heading back towards Florida just as soon as it warms up, and I don't have to worry about the farm freezing up. But y'all stay safe out there, and we'll see y'all soon, guys. Night, night. We find something to end it on. Trying to find a good slide for that. And I don't have one. All right. Well, guys, like I said, night, night.